Hey there, what's going on? So, recently I found an axe in a bin, and I'm pretty sure it's probably a murder weapon, but I thought it'd be fun to record it. So as I'm sure you're wondering, Jackson, what do you know about restoring axes? Well, I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but I watched a couple of YouTube videos, so I guess you could say I'm kind of an expert. So here it is, the axe, the rusty old axe, some nice shots. So the first step was to get the handle off of the head of the axe. So I just used an old saw that I ended up finding in in my shed. Had no idea it was there, but hey, improvise, adapt, overcome. So I cut the head off. It took fucking ages. Oh, thank God. Once the handle was off, I decided I wanted to reuse the wedge because I didn't want to buy a new wedge. I've already spent like $100 on this axe. I went to buy a handle for the axe. The handles were $10, the new axes were $12. So to reuse the wedge, I ended up getting a drill and a chisel, and I just drilled out the wood, and there's me going to the boot of my car because I forgot something. It wasn't as easy as I would have thought. So next was to remove the rust, and again, I bet what you're asking is, Jackson, what do you know about removing rust? Well, I also Googled that, and they said vinegar helps, so I was gonna give it a go. I was like, hey, why not? What do I have to lose? Some vinegar. So I filled up a bucket with vinegar, and I put the head and the wedge in it, and got some interesting slow-mo shot of that. And then I put it away, and I let it sit there, and I completely forgot about it for like 6 days. But then I got it out. The water fucking smells so putrid. It smells like vinegar and rust, believe it or not. So I made sure I gloved up before touching it because, and I cannot emphasize this enough, it fucking stuck. And even though I wore gloves, it stayed on my hands for like, I would exaggerate and say 3 days, maybe like a day, but it was still really bad. So enjoy this slow-mo footage of me pulling it out of the water and cleaning it with a hose, I guess. Yeah, it's pretty cool, wasn't it? I filmed that. Anyway, I dried off the axe and I inspected it, and I noticed, vinegar kind of works, kind of really doesn't. It got off most of the rust, but there was still a couple holes. So I decided to do the only next logical thing, and that was to pull out the grinder and just grind the absolute fuck out of it. For the grinding discs, I used a combination of 120 grit, 80 grit, and then like a sponge disc. It's pretty cool. And it worked really well. So I got most of the rust off, and then I used the spongy disc to polish it a little bit and still get some of the residual rust off of it. After that, to protect that beautiful shiny steel, I decided to paint it black, completely black. Just cover up everything there. After that, I sanded off all the lacquer that came on the handle that I bought. Then I started to shape it to the desired diameter for the head of the axe. I started out by trying to saw it, and it was taking so long. I ended up just grabbing like a really rough grit sandpaper disc, and I just went ham. I just went to town. And it worked really well. It did. Hey. After a couple of little fittings, I ended up getting it to slip on just the way I wanted it to, and yeah, it was looking pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. After getting all that lacquer off the handle, I wanted to stain it, so I bought a stain that in the store looked really red and really cool. I was like, yeah, this will look good. This is sweet. I bought it and I took it home, and yeah, it's kind of orange. Doesn't look bad. It's just not red. So after applying the first coat, I realized like I obviously needed to do both sides of it, and laying it on the ground wasn't gonna work. So I ended up like getting a bit of 1.5mm solid core cable and stripping it, then putting that in the handle, So then, just like any stockbroker that just lost their house and all investments, I hung the handle from a fan. Yeah. Suicide jokes. Classic. Anyway, hanging it from the fan made it a lot easier to lacquer on, and after every coat I sanded it and then reapplied until I got the desired color, as desired as could be, because it wasn't fucking red, it was orange. It looked pretty good. It looked pretty good anyway. I was pretty happy with how it turned out. And then next was to put the head of the axe on, the most exciting part. I had been working for so long. It doesn't seem like that long because it's a video and it makes it look a lot easier than what it is. So I wedged the head of the axe on, and using just a little bit of leverage to get the wedge in, aka a giant fucking metal hammer, I knocked the wedge in, and Bob's your uncle, technically the axe was finished. Not bad. It doesn't look that bad. It's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. But I wasn't done there. I sandpapered back the paint a little bit and gave it that silver edge that axes have. And then I decided to give it a grip because I felt that the axe just looked a little bit bare. I'd already spent heaps of money, exorbitant amounts on an axe that I'll probably never really use. So I didn't buy professional handle gear. I didn't leather bind it. I didn't get like tennis rack tape or anything like that. I decided to use the next best thing, electrical tape that I found in the boot of my car. It looked pretty good in my opinion. Just kidding, it looked shit and I tried to pull it off, but then unfortunately it pulled some of the lacquer off and my heart sunk a little bit. So back on it went. Here it is. It's the final product. It's done. I did it. I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I'm pretty stoked. And yeah, I'm really appreciative that you stuck with me all this way, listened to me. BS on. Hey, and if you're not into axes, I hope you feel a little bit more educated about them. Because I actually didn't know that's how you put them together until I googled it. So yeah, I guess I am technically an expert now because I've made a YouTube video on it, which makes you an expert on anything. At all. Anything at all. Anyway, catch me in my next YouTube video, how to build a rocket ship. 101. I'll see you guys there.